everywhere that there's sheet metal, like the passenger side firewall that's visible here, you can start to see it has a good shape, but it's really about packaging. So behind that is the air conditioning. There's 2 air conditioning units on the truck. There's a front that's in the passenger area, and then there's also a rear trunk unit that's got its own sheet metal structure that protrudes outside of the rear cab and has its own little area to live in. So every bit of sheet metal has a purpose. The reason for doing bead rolls in sheet metal is for structural rigidity. So if you see the step and the shapes in the bead rolls, and that's just the same as if you took a piece of paper and you take a piece of paper and it's flimsy and it moves around. If you just take that paper and you fold it and you crease it with your fingers really tight and you open it up, that paper's got rigidity. Even if you crinkle up a piece of paper in a ball and then you unfold it, that thing's gonna sit there and be more rigid than just your flimsy piece of paper. And that's the same thing as sheet metal. Everything has rigidity in it. So the bead roll is functional, but then that's where you go, well, how can I make this work for the particular area of where it's gonna go into this chassis? With the bead rolls on the interior of the cab, I knew that, well, what are we gonna do with upholstery? We're not gonna put carpet in it. So are these bead rolls gonna be something that's gonna be visually seen when you enter the vehicle? Yeah, they are. So everything has a deep step in it. Instead of just a small step of that bead roll, it's got a deep step, because that is all gonna be something that's gonna be upholstered with a special material and foam behind it where you're still gonna see it. So it's gonna be accentuated. All of the sheet metal in the cab is completely based around the structure, but also trimming as much fat off of the structure where we still maximize the space inside. The pockets under the seats are for fire suppression systems. They're also a storage. They will be completely sealed with a door. And there will also be another structure on each side of the third seat that will have storage. So you can kind of see right now that there's like ribs in the sheet metal where all of that will be containment storage. So there'll be pockets inside the cab that will have opening doors on them or panels where it'll look like one structure, and then you'll open it and you'll have storage that's streamlined into the sheet metal work. The whole floor of the truck is raised from the chassis. So the actual tube chassis lacing and the platform that's on the very bottom of the truck where the cab sits, where it's flush, there's an elevation there where not only does the exhaust run through there, the batteries are mounted up in the back, the pivots are back there, and it's also a way for air to come through the front, cool all of the heat from the exhaust, and draw it out the rear. So, you'll see some openings in the sheet metal in the front where those are vented panels, not only for taking them off and getting accessibility to the powertrain, the engine, the headers, everything, but it's also tailored to funnel air and then exit air. So everything under your feet and in the trans tunnel is all a passageway for air to come through, because you don't want to get that heat soak going on in there. Access panels in the front, everywhere where you'd need to get to the engine or you need to get to the electronics. So the front firewall has access panels on each side. So passenger side will be for electronics. You can get to the back of the air conditioning. You can also get to any kind of Motec stuff that'll be back there. The driver's side, same thing, plus you get to your foot controls. So you're not having to lay upside down in this thing and work under the dash. You can actually reach through the front of the truck and operate how you need to. There's a lot of different cues in this thing for accessibility, and it's the same with the engine. There's large access panels on the interior space that will be sealed, but they'll be removable. So if you do need to service the transmission or pull the engine out, then it makes things easy where you're not shooting yourself in the foot. it's nice to see a vehicle shiny and beautiful and polished out, but really what's more important is the process that went into making it that way. You know, what was done, how much, you know, manpower and hours and dedication was put into this final piece. And I think that with high-end luxury pre-owners like that, it's something that any person can appreciate the work on. Whether that's a craftsman, or that's just a dude that has hot rods, or it's just someone just that wants to watch something being built. It's something you can really feel. And with the direction that this truck's gonna go, it's important that we just share that. And I don't just present something and say, oh, look, that's cool, that's beautiful, that's that. I wanna really show part of my life and my experience and my process building this thing and getting it all the way to where it's roller, and then where it's, you know, it goes to SEMA, then where it's upholstered and it's painted, and it's, you know, every single step of the way makes sense to me. And I think it's important that we do that.